Alright, we will now continue with the features of federalism. Okay, what are the primary features of federalism? Why do we need to understand features of federalism? Because in anything that we actually have to understand the basic concepts of a federal form of government. Okay, so what are these features? Two or more levels of government. There has to be at least two or more levels of government. In federalism, you cannot have just one form of government. There has to be two or at least more than two forms of government. So there has to be a government at the central level, then there might be a government at the state level, then there might be a government at the district level, village taluka level, it depends. Okay, but there cannot be just one unitary form of government. Okay, the government or the governance has to be effectively divided across different levels or different tiers. So there has to be at least more than one form of government, two or more levels of government. There are different levels or tiers of government governing the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction. Okay, this is very important to understand. There are different levels or tiers of government. So as a citizen of India, how am I governed? Who is governing me? Okay, so obviously I will have a district level of governance, I will have a state level of governance, and I will have a national level of governance. Some of my aspects of my daily life will be affected by central government, some will be taken care of by state government, and some will be taken care of by the district level government. So let's say for example, if I have to apply for a foreign visa, okay, when I have to apply for a foreign visa, it's something which is not in the jurisdiction of the state. The state will basically provide the details as a citizen of their state, but this will be something which is governed by the central government. Okay, for example, if I have to travel by train from here to Delhi, from Mumbai to Delhi, then the train that I take is actually of central government. Okay, if I have to travel locally by a local train, then the train on which I am traveling is basically under the jurisdiction of the state government. Okay, so there are certain levels. Okay, so there are certain levels in which the governance is done. Okay, as a citizen of India, jurisdiction will be applicable on me from all the levels of government. So all the levels of government will have their own jurisdiction as a citizen of India. Okay, so as a citizen of India, all these levels will be actually monitoring me. So there are certain things that have to be decided at the central level of my life itself, and there are certain things which have to be decided on the central level, state level, and there are certain things which have to be decided on the district level. Okay, so there are different tiers of government governing the same citizens. The Indian citizen, irrespective of whether he stays in Maharashtra or whether he stays in Rajasthan, whether he stays in West Bengal, wherever he stays, okay, there are some policies of the state applicable on him, there are some policies of the center applicable on him. Okay, so there are different levels of government governing the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction. There is a boundary for each tier. Okay, there is a boundary of each tier, first tier, second tier, third tier, all these have their own boundaries and jurisdictions. Okay, each tier has its own constitutional authority guaranteed by the constitution. Okay, now the constitution has clearly framed the policies of the state, the districts, and the center as well. Okay, so nobody is going to hamper with each other's policies. So everybody is aware of their own jurisdiction, of their own boundaries. The governance has its own boundaries. Okay, each form of governance has its own boundaries, and they are not going to intermingle with each other, neither they are going to question each other. Okay, so each tier has its own constitutional authority. Every level of government that I am governed by has its own constitutional authority, which means that the constitution has granted certain rights to each level of governance. Okay, so the constitution has granted certain rights to each level of governance, and hence I am being governed by it. Okay, guaranteed by the constitution, and this is pretty much guaranteed by the constitution. So each level has been guaranteed by the constitution. The constitution is guaranteeing us that there is no infringement that will happen. There is the state is not going to interfere, or the center is not going to interfere until unless it becomes a central issue. Okay, so all these tiers have their own constitutional authority, and they are guaranteed by the constitution. So the constitution guarantees them. Now when you say guarantee, is there no scope of dispute? Yes, there can be scopes of dispute. So there can be dispute between the center and the state regarding a certain issue. Maybe the state is trying to implement a policy which the center has an objection to, and there will be a dispute. So in case a dispute arises, who is going to be the referee or who is going to impart the final decision? So we have the judiciary in the form of courts. Okay, I'm just going this way because these are two things which are connected. Each state has its own constitutional authority. So these are courts which have the power to interpret, the constitution. So they have the power to actually ensure that the constitution is implemented as it is. Okay, in case of a dispute, they become the referee, or they become the match umpire, or they become the final decision maker. So there have been disputes within the state and the center for certain issues. Then the court intervenes and gives a clarification and decides on the matter. So these are certain things. So the courts have the power to interpret the constitution, and hence we have three forms of government. See, none of the three forms of the government are absolute in power. We have the legislature, we have the executive, and we have the judiciary. Everyone has some role to play in the form of government, in the governance of the country. Okay, so courts have the power to interpret the constitution and the power of different levels of the government. This is a best way to ensure checks and balances in the system. Okay, so this is the best way to ensure that there are proper checks and balances in the system. Nobody is becoming superpower, and nobody is being confined or has to bear the brunt of being in a minority community. Okay, so the courts basically ensure that the state as well as the center are effectively functioning, and in case of a dispute, they will take a final call on which decision has to be prevailed, because the courts will only decide on the constitutional authority and the welfare of the people. They will be a neutral figure. They will not be supportive to either the state government nor the central government. The courts and the judges are not expected to support either of the form. They are just going to support the constitutional validity which is there in the constitution, and they are going to support the welfare of the people. So these are the two things that the courts are going to support. See, at times being associated with the political party, and every political party has its own agenda. At times the agenda might not be very useful for the state and its people, or might the country and its people. Okay, so there are some communities which might be impacted by whatever agendas they have. In that case, there is a high possibility of always a dispute happening between the center and the state, and then who takes the call? The court takes the call. If the state and the center are locked on a certain issue which is concerning the welfare of the people, irrespective of minorities or majority, there has to be a call taken in the courts. Okay, so the courts are an effective system of keeping the checks and balances in a particular system of government, and in federal system of government they have a very important role to play. Okay, so you can take a snapshot of the same. See, if I was to elaborate this further, every form of government, see, we have state government and we have central government, and we know that these are political parties which are there. Okay, so they will try to expand. Every power will try to expand. That's the basic logic of it. Okay, any political party will try to expand its ideologies. Every political party will try to expand its agenda and come at the central level. So both will try to expand with their ideologies, with their agendas. Okay, and at times there might be conflicts. So it's very possible that it's very natural that there might be conflicts. The ideologies and the agendas of one party might not match with the other one, but there are people associated with both of them, and finally it's the entire India which matters, the people's welfare that matters. Okay, so more than the agendas of these political parties, it's the welfare of people that matters, and hence state and central level are implementing. Okay, so in case the state and the center are in a kind of a clash, then it's the courts who decide this. They check the constitutional validity, and they also check the welfare of the people, so that these things are not hampered. So in the process of expansion of the respective governments, there might be clashes which are very natural. So it's the courts which will take a final call in deciding. So this is these are some features of federalism. We'll discuss about more. In the meantime, you can take a snapshot of the same. for your own notes and references, and we will continue with this further. Okay.